and thank you for joining us. This is Health Matters on Channels Television. I am Mary Alale Yusuf. There are now over 177 million cumulative cases of COVID-19 globally. And as at Friday, June the 18th, the death toll was over 3.8 million. In Nigeria, there were more than 167,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19, more than 163,000 recoveries, and 2,117 deaths. That makes a total of 104 new infections, 110 recoveries, and for the second week in a row, 0 deaths recorded in the week between June the 11th and 18th. Recovery rate is almost 98%. Case fatality is about 1.27%. Over 2.2 million samples have been tested and more than 2.6 million vaccines have been administered. So let's go to the topic of the day. Today we're talking about depression. Depression is described as a mood disorder which more than 264 million people around the world suffer from, according to the World Health Organization. It is one of the major causes of disability, but can be treated with different methods. It is different from typical mood swings and brief emotional responses to challenges in everyday living. My guest is a consultant psychiatrist, WHO certified mental health advocate and leader, and chairman, NMA Lagos Committee on Sick Doctors. You're welcome to the show, Dr. Peter.
Thank you for having me, Mary.
I know that you're very passionate about this. That's why I was able to get you down here.
Yeah.
You're a busy person.
We always say no health without mental health.
Yes. And we're beginning to believe that more and more.
Yeah.
I'm a bit baffled when, somebody commits suicide. They say he was depressed. But this is a person that was happy. People say he has everything going for him. Life was moving well. People get angry. If I had the chances that guy had,
I wouldn't have.
I wouldn't have done it. How could he?
Yeah.
Why do we have this? What is it about? And what does somebody look for if you cannot look for the normal, he was down and out on his luck kind of symptom? Then what are you looking for?
Well, until we begin to understand that emotional illness is as real as physical illness, we're not going to move forward. I've seen people that slept, and by the time they're waking up, they discover that they can't move their hands and legs. I've seen people that all of a sudden they check their flank and they just discover that something is swollen there. And I've also seen people that gradually discover that their tummy was getting bigger and bigger.
Were these symptoms of depression
These are symptoms of physical conditions that people can relate with. But when it now comes to depression, gradually you can have chemicals in the brain getting more and more reduced, and that begins to affect the way you reason, the way you think, and the way you behave, as well as your mood. So the same way you have physical symptoms, where you begin to see that the abdomen is getting bigger and bigger, or you discover that my hands are becoming weaker and weaker, so also there are chemicals in the brain that can be affected, and also this will affect our mood. And that is why it is a medical condition. So somebody that is either too happy, jovial, around and everything, suddenly may begin to have brain problem, because brain is an organ in the body that is subjected and susceptible to illness as well. The same way the bones, the lungs, the heart, the liver, the same way they are subjected to illness and their functions may fail. So that is exactly what happens in depression.
It could even be a brain tumor, right?
It could be brain tumor. It could be chemicals that is, I don't want to go into medical jargons. It can also be due to stress and all these hormones and everything pile up. But we must begin to see it as a medical condition. And then once we see it as medical condition, it will be a surprise for us when we now discover that someone who has been happy all of a sudden becomes very down. And then is showing certain traces certain behaviors that we don't understand, locked in, not talking, and then he begins to now see himself as hopeless.
But where do you draw the line between, somebody is acting up, is misbehaving, and this could be a mental problem? How is one going to be sensitive enough to know that one may be dealing with a problem in his friend and not just, guy, you're misbehaving? Or
it's better to err on the side of caution. Therefore, if a grown-up man decides not to go to work, or is just at home, not talking, becomes irritable, appearing helpless, hopeless, begin to talk about ending his life and co. It is better to think that something is wrong with this person is ill, than to say he's just acting out. He's just trying to call for attention. So that's why we say it is better to err on the side of caution. When you see someone who used to be vibrant and everything, all of a sudden changing his behavior, all of a sudden becoming shut in, all of a sudden talking about ending his life and co. I think for the sake of prevention, because once suicide occurs, that is the end. It is better to think that, something is wrong, and walk up to the person and say, how are you doing? And when you say, how are you doing, you must mean it. So nowadays, you see people say, how are you? The person that is even asking the question is going.
Yes.
A lot of times, how are you? And then they are going. So I tell people, don't ask me how I'm doing if you don't mean it.
Okay.
And then the next thing, the person will respond, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
So we say it's okay not to be okay.
It's okay not to be okay.
So I'm not fine.
Because some people get offended if they say, how are you doing? And you start going to a litany of all your problems.
So don't ask me if you are not interested in knowing how I'm feeling. And when you ask me, I must be open enough. And that's why people are dying of silence. The culture of silence must be destroyed. The culture of denial must be destroyed. When people ask how you are feeling, it is important. Don't appear weak. Don't feel that, you owe me having depression. People will look at me as if I'm weak, as if I'm not man enough, especially men folks. They say real men don't cry. But I say real men cry more. Because you are a human being, you have lots of bodies, you have a lot of things.
You are real.
You are real.
You're not
a machine. Doll. You are not anything. You are not a robot. You have emotions. You have feelings. You feel the stress. You have losses. You have disappointment. You have unachieved goals. You have many things that are bothering your mind. So when you see genuine people asking you, how are you feeling? You should be able to say, I am not feeling fine, bro. And then you sit down and talk. That person may be able to offer one help or refer you to a counselor.
That's where I was coming to. You tell somebody, you ask somebody, how are you? And instead of the person to say, I'm fine, I'm great, couldn't be better, the person begins to unload a lot of problems.
Okay, which is good.
And then you might get overwhelmed. Wow, I wasn't expecting this. What do you do? So, that means you should have the number of at least one psychiatrist.
Yes,
every single person.
Exactly. Because sometimes you may not be able to provide this particular help, but your ability to listen. Let me tell you an example of someone. The person was writing a suicide note. And all of a sudden, someone was passing by and said, great, and mentioned the name of the person and passed by. This guy said, that word, great, they mentioned the name of the person. I said, great. So I'm great.
Wow.
So I can be great. He tore the suicide note.
Was it.
That was it.
So even little me, you, anybody can actually change the course of someone's life.
Exactly. That's why I'm always annoyed with cyberbullying. People put up clothes and then you say, the original of this clothes will be very expensive. What do you mean? Look at you. You look so haggard. Look at you as if you are Mama this. Wow, look at your bottom. Look at this. You are killing the person. And that's why I'm an advocate of anti-cyberbullying. I hate it with every because ordinarily saying great Tomiwa, that person stopped there. The person that said great didn't even know. So
people say if they're bullying you in the cyberspace, just close it.
It's not as easy as that. For how many you just continue to close your account, you also need to sell your things. You need to do many things. You want to socialize. We must stop cyberbullying. We must stop many things, body shaming and co. Because ordinary comments that people make, ordinary attention that you pay to people can really do a lot. So emotional issue is something that is quite delicate. It's not something that, oh, when you are depressed, you are weak. When you are depressed, you are not manly.
Rather, when you're depressed, you're sick.
You are ill. That is it. You are sick. It is sickness. And that's why I love your intro. You said it is different from the normal up and down swings or just normal reaction to, oh, yesterday I didn't like what happened. I was sad. But by the afternoon period, I was okay. So when people say I was depressed yesterday evening, I just smile. May you not be depressed.
That's right.
You understand? You can say I was unhappy, I was sad.
But can depression be like that, though? Can somebody be depressed maybe for a week, 2 weeks, 1 month, and come out of it?
So now, first of all, before you can say somebody is depressed, there are diagnostic criteria in terms of period and in terms of symptoms that that person will go through. Okay? However, there's also what we call flight to health. Flight to health. Where maybe somebody was depressed for a period of time, and maybe by changing the circumstances, social circumstances. I know someone who was depressed because of a heartbreak. They were able to talk to the partner, and the partner came back, and the depression
left.
Resolved.
Aha.
No medication,
so go to the causative
factor. So that's why emotional issues, everything is not about brain, chemical, this and that. Environmental factors, social factors, relationship matters, loss of it. If I lost 10 billion naira, and you smile at me and say, Dr. Nubi, don't worry. I think I have some loose cash I'm not using. Take 5. I will smile, and the depression will resolve little by little. If that is what caused that reactive depression in the first place. You understand? But if that factor is not removed, and I'm in that, and I'm looking at the depth every day, my depression continues to go down. So I don't hold help and say it is well with you. So empathy and seeking help.
But there are some who don't understand. Someone wants to jump off a cliff, and they're saying, go ahead and jump. Why are you even telling us anyway?
Before you jump, please, that your Gucci belt.
Yeah, let me have it.
Let me have it. Please, what's the pin to your... So, you know, well, let me say the culture is changing.
Okay.
Based on what happened. Yeah, based on something happened a few days ago. A young guy, and he has posted it, and I'm happy he posted it on his Instagram. A young guy was helped. He just wrote something, and his friend cried for help on his behalf. And people around, they were able to come to his rescue, and they helped him.
They physically came to his rescue? They physically
to his rescue,
and they rescued him. Very good.
I know, if you go on Instagram and you read his account, there was a place he said at that moment, everything was black. Everything became hollow. It was as if he was the only one in the universe. At that moment, he cared not about his family, any achievement. Everything was just void. And the only option that he could embrace was to just end it. That is usually what happens. So it's not arrow of the enemy. It's not weakness. It's not attention-seeking behavior. And I love what happened. Because then, on a normal day, you would have seen, why are you telling us? Go ahead and do it now. Person when one die, they talk calm. Those are the ways they put it in Pidgin and many other languages. You understand?
But things are changing.
These things are changing. And that is the culture we want to encourage. That it is better to err on the side of caution.
Okay, on that note, let's quickly take a break. We are taking a short break. As you can see, this is really interesting. Stay there. We're coming back. Welcome back. It's Health Matters on Channels Television, and we're talking about depression. Very serious and getting worse, you know, as the days go by. We need to help each other. We're with Dr. Peter Nubi and You can call 0808-054-2233. It's showing on your screen now. If you have questions on the subject, why we continue. Now, the World Health Organization says between 76 and 85% of people who have depression are in low and middle income countries. That means the bulk of them.
The bulk of them.
They also say that most of these people don't get any help.
Yeah.
Why?
That why is laden with many, many, many reasons. For example, let's talk about accessibility, affordability, availability of mental health care services. The time has come, for example, to pass the mental health bill. You know, I always come here to say this.
Yes, you always talk about that bill.
So, 2009, I come to channels, successive sessions of National Assembly will go by. Third reading, public hearing, they go. Election year starts, and we start all over from first reading. That is what is almost happening now. When we pass the mental health bill, for example, into law, there are provisions in that act that will tell us the need to establish more facilities, the need to incorporate mental health into primary health care, subsidizing medications. People don't have to go to Benin Republic to get free drugs.
Is that what happens?
Yes. I know some patients who cross the border to get free medication for mental health because some of these drugs can be very expensive.
Let's quickly take this call from Okorafor. Hello.
Good afternoon, ma. Good afternoon, doctor. Doctor, I want to find out from you, now that based on analysis you have just said, if somebody is a businessman, has invested in the business, along the line, they see the business crash. What type of advice will you give such a person? He invested millions. And some people are saying that sleeping and taking of enough water helps to reduce or to write off depression. Is it true or not? Thank you very much. And what type of food do you think somebody under depression, what will he take on the spot? Not tablets, so natural food. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Okorafor. Okay. I'm sure you didn't hear everything there. Okorafor is talking about a businessman. This happens all the time. He invests in his business, everything crashes, he loses all his money. What is your advice to such a person?
Well, the truth is that disappointments, trauma, social issues, environmental factors, and all those things I've mentioned, loss of money, loss of businesses, especially in this COVID era, loss of jobs and co, is actually affecting people. This is what constitutes stressors.
Okay.
So we can say that someone that invested into a business and then you lost everything, you have been stressed. So the brain will recognize that stressor, that, oh, loss. And it will trigger a lot of reaction in the brain. And then depression will likely, either anxiety, depression, whatsoever. Some have lost businesses and they have become psychotic. It depends on the window that opens up in your brain. Let us not assume that you are depressed or you are on your way to depression. That is when you need psychiatrists the most. People think when they go to psychiatrists, it's only when they are ill or they are eating gutter from the gutter or wearing tattered clothes. No. Sometimes you go to your psychotherapist when you know that I am susceptible, I can't sleep again, I'm always thinking, I'm feeling helpless, hopeless, I'm feeling worthless, I'm in a state of despondency. In fact, everything, the future looks bleak. Run to the doctor who is in charge of the brain, mental health experts.
And at that point, you can run by yourself.
By yourself. You can look at it. Yeah,
Nobody needs to help
yourself.
There.
Yes. We wait till the things like cancer. You leave stage 1, stage 2, it is when it's stage 3 or 4, you run to the doctor. It's not until when others are helping you. You already know you are in this situation. You've lost enormous amount of money. You can't sleep again. Loss of appetite. You are just living. Every time you live, it's as if you are just living mechanically. You wake up, no taste, everything. You've lost animation. You've lost everything about the people are laughing and you are wondering, what is funny? Your debt, everything is facing you. That is when you should run for help because depression is knocking. Not until when you are helpless.
Take, another question from Jonathan. Hello, Jonathan. What's your question?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I'm some question from Ikoji. This is a very, very interesting topic. A very, very interesting topic. And this mental health and mental issues is a very serious issue, most especially among young men. I mean, I can say the fact that most young men in Lagos, they have mental issues, including me. Me, I'm a data analyst. And my kind of job is more of a thinking job. I do a lot of thinking job. And, when you start code, you go down, the stress you take to island, you come back home again. And sometimes you tell them in the office that, I'm getting overstressed. They don't listen to you. They will tell you, keep on coming to work. Keep on to work. I tell them that. Sometimes I tell them, no, I'm thinking. The road goes so anything that they don't listen to you. They don't want to listen to you. And that's about you, from your mental health down everything. Every month you go to the hospital, from malaria to this and this and this. And you tell them, please, let us get a break. One day off, one day on. They will not want to listen to you. Come to work every day. Come to work every day.
Let me quickly direct your question to the doctor. When this kind of thing happens and you keep talking at work that I just need a little break, I'm stressed up, I'm about to break down, I don't feel well, is that depression?
See, the truth is that individuals can sense that they're going through depression. Some will see it coming. It's like you want to have malaria, you begin to say I have headache. Sometimes you say something is coming. So also, it's not everybody that will be oblivious of it. And that is why, before it has been like, culture of denial.
Yes.
I can't be. God forbid. Mm-hmm. It will not be my portion. Mm-hmm. So and so. But people are becoming more and more aware. They are now asking and seeking for help. It is now the turn of organizations to now understand that the emotional aspect of their workers matter a lot. And that's the concept of Employee Assistance Program, EAP, that is becoming more and more. And I know a time will still come that it will be part of the law that every organization, because what we have is physical treatment in form of HMO, liver, typhoid, and co. But organizations don't have emotional care. All they want is come there and do the job, get the job done. So we are going to organizations that say there's what we call Employee Assistance Program. Contractors, we will be in charge of the emotional aspect of your workers.
Because it helps the work.
Because it helps the work. Many organizations, the truth is that research has shown that many organizations are losing a lot to what we call presentism. Presentism means everybody is there, you've counted.
But the work
is not done. They are thinking of money, they're thinking of this, emotional, addiction, all those things. So smart organizations contact psychiatrists, they contact psychotherapists, and they say, you know what, help us prepare a program where you'll be servicing us, and anyone that has problem can always contact you because we want effectiveness. And organizations that have done this are better for it. So that is what that organization should do. It is wicked for it. And that's why when we go to present in this organization, we say it is a moral thing to do. Don't focus on the physical aspect and say, go to HMO and they take care of malaria, typhoid, hypertension, liver problem, kidney, and all the likes. What about the emotional?
Let's quickly take a question from Bamidele. He's calling from India. Hello, Bamidele.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your question?
Yeah, this is Bamidele from India.
You're welcome. What's your question?
Am I loud and clear?
You are loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay. I've been listening to the man on the program, and I must commend you for what you're doing, Doctor. My question is, aside education for treatment of depression, what other means? What are the other techniques can we use that are there in Nigeria that other people that are coming forth to ask for treatment? What other means can they use?
Excellent question. Thank you very much, Bamidele. So apart from talking, I guess that's what he means.
Yeah, Bamidele has given me another assignment. There's a topic we actually call stress management. Okay. And I think Mary will set a time that we'll talk about this. How do people manage stressors in their life. Okay. Because we have external stressors
we have just 30
and
seconds.
internal stressors.
So let's quickly finish it.
So there are what we call, so people need to know how to manage their stress level. They also need to know what coping mechanism they should use, because we have adaptive and maladaptive. It's a whole lot of things.
We have to do
but
that.
But now we are only talking about depression, which can be mild, moderate, or severe. But don't wait for it to get to severe. Even at the level of mild, ordinary counseling and co can reduce it. See a doctor. But when it becomes severe, medication, admission, suicidality, and all those things set in.
All right. Thank you so much for coming to the show. I can't believe it's over. But it was really great, really interesting. Thank you so much for being there. And thank you for your wonderful calls, Okorafor, Jonathan, and Bamidele. Have a lovely day, everybody. I am Mary Alale Yusuf.